Today's lesson is going to be how to make this cool beanie. You can add extra rounds of increase to make it into a slouch beanie, or keep it nice and tight for a normal sized beanie. There are going to be two versions, this one and one with a brim. You can start with any beanie pattern. You can start with a magic ring, or you can chain 5 and join. So joining it to the first chain with a slip stitch, and into the middle here, or into your magic ring, we want to work 12 double crochets. We need to chain up 3. This counts as our first stitch. We want to make 11 more double crochets into the ring. That's yarning over, going into the ring, yarning over, pulling up a loop. We have 3 in a hook, yarning over, pulling through 2, yarning over, pulling through 2. So continue on until we have 12 double crochets into our ring. We want to join to our third chain with a slip stitch, and now we want to chain up 3. Then we want to make a double crochet into that same stitch. A little bit hard to get in there, we go. And a chain 1. In the next stitch we are going to work 2 double crochets and a chain 1. Going into the next stitch. So 2 double crochets is counted as an increase. So chaining 1, and in the next stitch we're going to work another increase. It's all worked in double crochets, and a chain 1. Next stitch, double crochet, increase, so that's 2 in the same stitch, and a chain 1. Next stitch, working an increase again, and a chain 1. So we're going to increase and chain 1 in every stitch around. So you should have something starting to look like this. You'll have your increase, then your chain 1 space. So I've just completed my last increase in my chain 1, and I'm going to join into the third chain. So you'll count up 3 chains and do a slip stitch into that third chain. So now we're going to chain up 3, and then we're going to increase into the next stitch. So we've got our 2 stitches here, so we're working 2 double crochets into the next stitch. Then we're going to chain 1, and in our next 2 stitches we're going to work 1 double crochet into this stitch, and then so we've just worked into that one, we're going to increase into that one, so we're working 2 double crochets in there. So it's 2 into the same space. And then we're going to chain 1, working in the next 2 stitches. So that's 1 into the first stitch, and increase into the next one, so it's 2 in the same stitch. And we're going to repeat this all the way around. And then we do our chain 1. So we're just going to repeat this all the way around. 1 in the next stitch, 2 in the next, and a chain 1. Just done my chain 1, and I'm going to join to the top of my chain 3. So you'll start to see a pattern forming here, and we're going to be increasing in our group of double crochets. So we've got 3 stitches, so that's chaining up 3, counts as our first, into our next stitch. It's 2, and then we're going to make an increase in the next one, which is 2 in the same stitch, and then a chain 1. So in our next lot of 3, we're going to work 1 stitch into the next stitch, 1 stitch into the next one, then increase in our last stitch before the chain 1 space. So if you can remember that all the way around, just before the chain 1 space, you work an increase into that last stitch. So chaining 1. So it's all worked in double crochets, so that's 1, 2, and this is our last stitch before our chain 1 space, so that works our increase into there. And our chain 1. So next one, excuse me, 1, 2, and our last one before our chain 1 space is our increase. And this is how we're going to increase on every row. So that's 1, 2, and in our last stitch before our chain 1 space, an increase. So keep continuing on until we get back to our beginning and our chain 1, and I'll meet you there. So I'm just doing my chain 1, and then we are going to join to the chain 3. Now every increase round is exactly like this. You put in your increase before we get to our chain 1 space, so it's always in that last stitch before our chain 1 space. And as you can see, we've increased 1 stitch each row, so we had 2 there, 3 there, and 4 there. So our next one will have 5, and that's how you'll know if you haven't done your increase properly. So chaining up 3, going into the next stitch for 1 stitch, into the next one for 1 stitch. So in this round we need 5 stitches. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 below. We need 5 on this one, so that's 1, 2, 3, and of course our last stitch is our increase, which is 4 and 5, and chain 1. So our next one is the same, and it's obviously the same all the way around. So you need to make as many increase rounds as you need, and you can make this from any size, from adults all the way down to preemie size, because it all just depends on the amount of increase rows we put in. So at the moment this is probably going to fit, it might actually fit me, I've got quite a big head, or someone a little bit smaller. So I'm going to finish this round and then show you how to do the rest of the beanie. If you want a hat that's baggy, like a newsboy hat, how the top part's baggy, you can continue adding a few more rows of increase, and depending on how baggy you want your hat would depend on how many rows of increase that you put in. So I don't like mine too baggy, so I only put about 2 or 3 extra rows of increase than what I would do to make a normal size beanie. So basically, if the rows on any beanie pattern are easy to increase, you can, it might be for a beanie pattern, like a tight beanie pattern, but you can make it into a newsboy pattern as well. Just by adding those extra few rows will make it that bit baggier on your head. So continue around until we get back to the beginning. So I've just done my chain 1 and I'm going to join into that third chain with the slip stitch.